Being a New York Knicks fan is hard. Apparently, hard enough that one man decided to sell his fanhood to the boys in blue altogether. Evan Perlmutter recently cashed in his Knicks fandom on eBay for a princely sum of $3,500. That sale came with certain stipulations, including that he would root for a team of the winning bidder's choosing. Perlmutter will also place a $500 bet on that team to beat its Vegas odds for over/under win total. In a recent interview with Bleacher Report about the auction and sale, Perlmutter said that a winning bid was made from a fan in California. Thus, he is now a Los Angeles Lakers fan. According to Perlmutter, New York's draft was the last straw. Via BR, I was with my buddies during the draft and this was after a season where we were trying to tank and we couldn't even do that properly, he said, seemingly clutching onto the final few days of his ability to deploy the royal we when referring to the Knicks. Quote, And so we have the 9th pick instead of a top 5 one and Michael Porter Jr. is sitting there, and for me he was the no. One target on my list of guys to draft, and I said to my buddies, if we don't take Porter and take Knox I'm officially putting my Knicks fandom on eBay. Perlmutter will burn some of his Knicks gear, and make the transition into being a Lakers fan full-time. The winning bidder was a YouTuber from Southern California who almost considered making Perlmutter a Nets fan, but said, I feel like he should be able to root for the King before he retires. For their part, the Knicks aren't going to miss Perlmutter this upcoming season. In a statement to Bleacher Report, the team said, We're sure our millions of loyal Knicks fans won't mind losing this attention-grabbing gentleman. God bless New York fans. They root for that terrible team whose owner will never sell and who are likely doomed to mid-level failure for the tenure of his stewardship. Part of the rationale behind those thinking LeBron James would stay in Cleveland or jump to Philadelphia this summer was one logical question: why would he leave the East? LeBron's team had won the Eastern Conference 8 years in a row, and while there are outstanding teams, Boston, Toronto, Philly, there isn't the depth or intensity of the West. LeBron went to the Lakers anyway. DRJ himself, Julius Erving, said he admires that move, talking to Mike Gill, Pete Thompson, and Michael Kasky-Blomane of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN Radio in Philly. I have a great admiration for a guy who dominated the Eastern Conference as he has and then goes out to take up the challenge of playing in the Western Conference. That's chutzpah. It is, especially considering he is going to turn 34 next season and the Lakers are a couple of players and at least a season away from contending. As for if the Sixers or anyone else had a chance, Erving doesn't see it that way. I think Magic had him locked up. All that, we're Midwest boys so we can get along, we understand each other. I think he sold him on that, and the challenge for LeBron, to play in the West. More than that, LeBron relates to Magic as an all-time NBA player who became a business mogul. Guys who both had humble beginnings in the Midwest to rise to heights they did not imagine. There's a lot to that, and LeBron trusted Magic enough to give him 4 years. That long a deal was a lot of chutzpah too. We'll see if it pays off. When Kobe Simmons chose to leave Arizona and enter the 2017 NBA draft, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Was the freshman really ready? Teams were not convinced and he went undrafted, but after an impressive summer league showing that year he earned a two-way contract with the Grizzlies. Simmons went on to play 32 games for the big club, started in 12. Remember, Memphis was decimated by guard injuries. He was rough around the edges, his jumper was inconsistent and he shot just 28% from 3, but his athleticism kept Memphis interested. After a good but not great summer league for Simmons, in Las Vegas, he averaged 14.8 points per game on just 35% shooting, but he had looked better using his athleticism when I had seen him in Salt Lake City. The Grizzlies have decided to move on. It is likely back to the G League for Simmons, who averaged 15.1 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game in 26 appearances for the Memphis Hustle last season. He still has the potential to be an NBA role player, and he's still just 21 years old, but he's got to show the growth in his game teams want to see. Manu Ginobili is walking away from the Spurs in the NBA to a chorus of cheers from fans and former opponents. Now the question turns to what's next for the Spurs. I get into that in this latest PBT Extra video. The short answer is a rebuild, eventually. But not for a couple more years. Manu Ginobili will no longer suit up for the San Antonio Spurs, deciding to officially retire. That does not mean he is off back to live the good life in Buenos Aires. No, he is staying around San Antonio, and will be around to help the Spurs, he wrote in the Argentine newspaper La Nación, hat-tip Tom Osborne of the San Antonio Express News. What I made clear to Pop is that it's not ciao, I'm leaving, he wrote. My children have already started classes, and while I'm in town I'll be close to the team and the franchise. Maybe I cannot help anymore by taking a charge, or with a steal, or something, but I'll try to add in what I can. I have a great appreciation for my teammates, for the staff and all the people on the team, and I want it to go as well as possible. If I can help from the outside, I will do it with pleasure. The other interesting note from the column, while he didn't make it official until Monday, he played all of last season knowing it would be his last. I never externalized it because there was no sense limiting my options. I wanted to leave the door open for doubts that changed my mind, or that I still felt the physical and mental strength needed to face another season. Like a lot of athletes, he still loved the games, but the preparation needed to get his 41-year-old body ready for those games, and to recover from them, became too much. You can be sure Popovich will turn to Ginobili, and his insane basketball IQ, to help guide the Spurs this season at points. It's easy to envision Ginobili sitting down with DeMar DeRozan to talk about how he found spaces to work within the Spurs offense, how DeRozan can put himself in better positions. Ginobili, the fan favorite in San Antonio, will still have his place with the Spurs.